Overwhelming towline force caused the loss of a towboat in a severe storm. This is from the Maritime Executive, and it was posted on June the 3rd, 2025. The NTSB concluded that the loss of a towboat off the Louisiana coast in May of 2024 was due to the vessel being overwhelmed during a sudden, severe storm. While the crew of the towing vessel was unable to maneuver in an attempt to save the vessel due to overwhelming towline force, the report also highlights the lack of an emergency release and some issues with the vessel that might have accelerated its loss. The towboat, which was built in 1997 and was 67 feet long, was towing a 260-foot-long barge loaded with a production platform and a alley deck bound for an offshore site. They had departed Louisiana, but due to the height of the platform, was required to sail offshore instead of the Gulf Intercoastal Waterway. It was midday on May the 13th, with the vessel approximately 60 miles from its destination. The weather was good, with a 3 to 4 foot seas and a wind of 9 to 13 knots. The crew had checked weather reports and was receiving information from its shoreside office. They had a report of a possible thunderstorm. The tow was traveling at 4 to 5 knots. The mate was navigating when he observed a storm forming and made changes to the course. But the line of the thunderstorms appeared to shift into a circle, and the winds began to intensify at a very quick rate. It was possibly ailing, but they never determined if a waterspout had formed. The captain and mate later estimated for the investigators that the winds could have been between 85 and 100 miles per hour, or 74 to 87 knots. The vessel was losing speed and started to eel. The mate was attempting to reposition the vessel, but as the situation quickly deteriorated, the vessel was eeling at a 45-degree angle. They had lost sight of the barge in the storm, but it had moved alongside the towboat, and the crew later reporting that the line was taut like a banjo string. The captain ordered the mate to turn the barge loose. He attempted but reported to the captain it was impossible. The NTSB highlights in the report that the vessel did not have an emergency release, and none is required under the regulations. Even if the mate had been able to reach the controls in the doghouse, it required the winch engine to be running, and it was not. The captain was attempting to change the eeling, but by then the port quarter of the towboat was underwater. They believed the starboard rudder and propeller were out of the water. They made a distress call, and moments later, the vessel lost electrical power, and the engine stopped running. Seas now were 6 to 7 feet. The crew had to climb out of the tilted wheelhouse, and one deckhand fell into the water. The others had to follow as the vessel sank. The self-deploying life raft worked, and they were eventually able to make it to the raft. The emergency beacon was also located, and the Coast Guard was able to rescue the 4 crew members, although one suffered minor injuries. When the towboat was recovered, the NTSB reports that some fiddly blowers on the second deck were missing and might have contributed to the flooding. Also, some of the ceiling gaskets were found deteriorated on the exterior doors. The casualty, which resulted in $2 million in damage, they attributed to the overwhelming towline force during the storm and the inability to complete an emergency release of the barge. The eeling became unrecoverable for the vessel. This report doesn't say anything about what happened to the barge. You would think it would have sank as well, but that would have contributed to the $2 million, and you would think this boat would be worth $2 million. So it's hard to say what happened there, and it really doesn't matter, I guess. The main thing is everyone was rescued, and they all got to go home to their family. The safety equipment actually worked. The life raft launched itself. The EPIRB worked, and everybody was able to get into the life raft, which is the main thing. Everyone gets to go home to their family. All right, guys, there it is. As always, thanks for watching. If you're new here and you like these kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you on the next one.